longer here. And one more time, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, if you plan on making a public comment on any of the topics tonight, there's a number next to every agenda. If you could fill out a comment card on that back table, they'll get them to us, and we'll call you on call when it comes up for that agenda item. Thank you. All right, so why don't we begin if everyone would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Hopefully now that the door is shut, we'll get some AC circulating in here and cool it down a little bit. Obviously, this is a very crowded room, and we'll try to get through everything in order. I thank you all for coming. Obviously, this is a topic that is of great importance to the community. So let's go through our agenda items. First up, we have Deputy Cassie from the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. If you'd like to take center stage, tell us what's going on.
I realize it's a big crowd. I know everyone's here to see me, so thank you. Thank you very much. From last month to this month, it's basically regular stuff because school's out. You know, we had some vandalism, couple of stolen people, and just like vehicle burglaries, and obviously a couple of those where people left their vehicles unlocked. So it's like regular stuff. Please lock your vehicle and take the keys inside. Don't leave it in the vehicle, please. Okay. Now, someone called recently also about a suspicious vehicle in the neighborhood, and they were actually feeling bad to tell me about it. That's why we're here. Please, if you guys see suspicious activities in your neighborhood, please call us. Don't feel bad. That's why we're here. Okay? Any questions?
Any questions? Really?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One of the biggest crowds and one of the shortest reports from PBSO. Steve Henkel, president of Sir Wicked.
Be fast also.
Good. Yeah, really?
Okay, for the month of July, we're not having a work meeting this month. Yeah, we didn't get that last one again, but soon on the 30th, we're not having one. The only thing really exciting is happening about our mini excavator. We've got it now down playing around in some of the outfalls and it's working out good for us. Our next meeting is August the 18th at 7 o'clock at the high school media room. We're going to be dealing with the budget. The other thing of it is that in case anybody's wanting to run for a board supervisor, we have 2 positions coming open that you have until July 15th to put in your information. Currently, right now, we've got Kevin Baker from over Palm Beach Country Estates, Mike Howard, raise your hand, and Mike Ryan that have put their hat into the ring. On this particular one has to be from Palm Beach Country Estates, or at least east of the C-18. The other one can be any place. So we have Mike Ryan that we like over. That's east of the C-18. We got Mike Howard over here. Jupiter Farms. Keep that in mind, guys. All right.
It's only one name to remember.
On Monday night.
Vote for Mike. There we go.
Vote for 2 people.
Thank you very much, Steve. Moving on to Jupiter Farms residence business. Kristen Atwood is going to share with you our dates for the 2016-2017 event calendar.
Yes. Okay. As of now, we've set for Saturday, November 12th, the hoedown that we had last year as our first one, and that will be at the Jupiter Farms Community Park Pavilion, which is here. Saturday, December 3rd, and if needed, Sunday, December 4th will be the Christmas tree sale that we do every year, and the proceeds go towards a scholarship for a Jupiter Farms high school student. That will be at the Town and Country feed store. Saturday, April 8th is our spring fling and Easter egg hunt at the Jupiter Farms Community Pavilion, which is here again, which we've done years and years and years and years. And we have 4 tentative movie nights that we're going to try and do in the months of October, January, February, and March, and the location will be to be decided at that point. So That's what we have upcoming for the year for the events from the Jupiter Farms Residents Board.
Thank you, Kristen. And we're also floating the idea of trying to do pre-orders for the Christmas trees this year. There have been some people in the past that said, we want a 15-foot tree or a 16-foot tree. So any of those special orders, keep watching Facebook or get on JupiterFarmsResidents.com and put your email in so you can get on our newsletters, and we'll have something with Jupiter Farmer. So as we get that together, we'll get that information out to you. And they're really nice trees, and it all goes towards funding for Jupiter Farms residents. August meeting next month, we will be holding Jupiter Farms Residents Candidates Night. It is before the primary. We are going to be having representatives from Sir Wicket for the Sir Wicket election. We will also be having representatives who are running, candidates who are running for the House seat District 85. We will also be having people in the race for Commissioner District 1 and some candidates who are running for Sheriff. So join us for the August Candidates Night. It will be starting at 6 o'clock. From 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock we have a potluck out here, and it's kind of a meet and greet the candidate. And then 7 o'clock the official meeting starts, and they are invited to give us their 2-minute stump speeches. While we also have them in the room, let me give a nod to Jupiter Farms resident Tom Baker. If you would just get up and give a nod. Tom is running for district, county
court judge.
Brutal.
11.
Brutal 11.
It's a countywide election, so everybody can vote.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tom, for coming. And now I would like to bring up Don Hearing for agenda item number 4, the presentation, Calvary Chapel from Cotleur and Hearing. Take it away, Don.
Good. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight. And really, before I start, I'd also like to thank the board, Susie, and others. We've been actually working pretty closely together lately and trying to understand everybody's issues and seeing how we can respond. So I do want to take time out of their schedule in the middle of the day to come meet with us. So I do want to thank you, and really sincerely mean that for all your time. Well, many of you are aware of Calvary Chapel and where they are in the Jupiter Farms shopping center. So I'm going to show you basically the plan that we were doing. So what I'm showing you is not what we're doing, but I'll show you what we're doing. This is just a little better image for us to at least start the discussion. We've been working with your board for a while. We've had an application that's actually started 3 years ago going through the county process. Working toward the plan that we have, and as we started to, they always say the devil's in the details, but we started to get into the details, and we had some concerns that were raised by your board. They really worked pretty hard with us. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on us to try to do some things to make it better. And I think we're at that point where we basically have made some things better. And what I think is what we'll present to you is a real win-win. But let me show you really where we started. And of course, thank all of you for being here. And I'm going to use this easel. I think it should work pretty well. North is up, and this is Jupiter Farms Road to my right, and Indiantown Road to the immediate north.
Can you just bring the easel out and you behind it or beside it?
There we go. I'll be behind.
Much better.
That better? Great. Thank you very much for the recommendation. So Calvary Chapel, about 4 years ago, purchased what was the sewer plant, the package plant for the Jupiter Farms shopping center, and there was a requirement. It was always planned that at some point in time that plant, which had really outlived its useful life, would be taken away. And Calvary Chapel had the opportunity to purchase it. Of course, they've been in Jupiter Farms for quite some time. They're really one of the first churches out here in the center. They made an investment. They bought several buildings. They have 2 buildings right now. One building that I'm pointing to, which is their sanctuary today, and then they have a second building for administrative offices. And because of their need to meet their administrative and office needs, About 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, they leased the existing empty medical office building, which is about 10,000 square feet. So in total today, they've got about 25,000 square feet. And the thought was when they purchased the package plant is that they would expand there and build a sanctuary and facilities that basically would meet their needs. So our plan before we made the change was to build a 50,000 square foot rounded up facility which would contain 1,000 seat auditorium. Right now they have a little over 300 and some people every Sunday. They have 3 services, and so as most churches want to do, they'd like to have one service where they can put everybody in, and also to create a very, very vibrant youth program. And as you know, on Wednesday nights, they have a wonderful youth program that's open to everybody. And so in total, they would have a 50,000 square foot building, and then another 15,000 square feet. Of course, then they were leasing the medical building. And there was some concerns expressed by your board that your community for a long time has really aimed to try to keep a single user within the center at less than 50,000 square feet. And so as a result of that, the board really encouraged us well. Let me just put it that way. They encouraged us well to try to do something. And the church, Calvary Chapel, took it to heart. So we've been working for about 3 years to get to this point. So it took us a while to get to the point where to come to say, well, we need to look at things differently. And so over the last month and a half or so, we basically have gone back to the drawing board and gone back to the vision of the church, and the church has decided to substantially scale back the building and really change their vision a little bit. And so what they're looking at doing, and I'll show you a conceptual plan, is reducing this building from 50,000 square feet to 35,000 square feet, and making a commitment that their total holding, basically all the properties that they would have here on the campus, would be less than that 50,000 square foot number, which was basically the size of public, so that they would reduce that down, and so you'd have smaller buildings totaling the 50,000 square feet. They would reduce the theater or their sanctuary from 1,000 seats down to 750 seats. So that's really less than what they use right now on a Sunday morning, they need more than that now on a Sunday morning. So they probably would go from 3 services to 2 services. But in their vision looking forward, they look at doing what we refer to as a multi-site type of a venue, so that they would look into whether it's Hope Sound or somewhere else further south where they could do multi-site. So if any of you are familiar with Christ Fellowship is a multi-site venue. Many churches in Palm Beach Gardens, and then they basically do internet video streaming for live services at their other campuses. And so that really, in looking at it, that vision seems to work well for Calvary. And given this location and really the saturation that they probably have close to reached here in the farms, that really works well to be a win-win, consistent, I think, more consistent with the vision here in Jupiter Farms. And it solves a number of issues. There were some concerns about parking. There were some concerns about traffic. And so by reducing things down and scaling them back, we addressed all of the issues. The issues of mass, the issue of traffic, the issue of parking, because now we exceeded the code before, but now we'll greatly exceed the code. So there'll be more than ample parking. We're able to provide more parking on the east side, which was something that was of interest to your board as they've articulated it. Now, of course, we don't have all the details. We don't have all the details in terms of the architecture plans because we're starting over in a sense. But we'll be developing those details, working with your board, and obviously coming back at any time as those details begin to be made. So let me just show you the new plan as it is. It's in black and white because we haven't gotten to the point of making the beautiful, pretty drawings that we have. So this is in the same orientation. It doesn't show all of the center, but basically what we've been able to do is take what was a 50,000 square foot building, so much bigger, reduce it down to 35,000 square feet, reduce the sanctuary to 750 seats, and a lot of what's inside the building is what we call, it's non-usable space, it's transition space. It's the opportunity for gathering as people go from one area to the other. A very dynamic children's area, children's ministry, of course, to be consistent with the Jupiter Farms area study, as well as your guidelines. All of the buildings have to have porches on all sides of the building, so it fits in architecturally. We have a lot more open space by virtue of that. We have far more parking now than we need. Before we exceeded the code, we were adding about 250 spaces, and we exceeded the code by a little over 100 spaces. And now we'll be exceeding the code probably by close to 200 spaces. So that, because we've scaled down the size of the sanctuary substantially. And so that's where we're at. So Calvary, they have the 35,000, and then there are 2 existing buildings. And then as soon as this building was completed and they could move their operations out, they would terminate their lease on the existing medical building. We had some meetings with the county yesterday and trying to work out the timing and the articulation of how that happens in the development order process. Because at one point in time, we actually went and changed it from being a medical office to a church use. And so we're going to kind of figure out a mechanism where that happens kind of automatically with the approval. So that's where we're at. Of course, we will be working with your community relative to what we refer to as traffic management, parking management, and that can work, how that all will work on a Sunday morning. Right now, the church has 3 services on Sunday morning. They look to go down to 2 services, and at Wednesdays, relatively benign. We have generally children's ministries, maybe some small Bible studies and stuff like that, but very, very small numbers of people. But, you know, I'm excited about this. I really applaud the church leadership, where I see you back there for taking a pretty bold step. I know you spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy, but I think at the end of the day, you know, it's a win-win. And what we see happening across the world today, whether it's Minnesota, Baton Rouge, or Orlando, or Dallas, we need more community gathering places. And so, truly, this is a community asset. You know, facilities are open in the event that you all have large meetings. I mean, that's what they want. They want to be able to share the facility with the community and enrich everybody around here. So that's all I have to say. We're excited. We're kind of going back to the drawing board. Our goal is to, you know, try to get something back to the county maybe at the end of the month. If we do that, this would still not get into what we call the public hearing process until the very late fall. Probably, I'm guessing, October, November, December, because of the way that the process works. And just so that you know, we commit to continue to work with your board, and obviously we'll be back. We'll put us on an agenda so that when we have a little bit more of the details. So I thank you all for your patience. I thank the church for what they've done, and I'm very grateful for the board and all of their willingness to sit down with us and roll up your sleeves and try to help us all come up with a better project. And Mr. President, that's all I have.
Thank you, John. Next up, we had Susan from Jupiter Farms Environment.
Do questions?
You want to do? We can do questions and public comments. Okay. First, we have Steve Henkel. And it should be noted that Steve Henkel has served on the Jupiter Farms residents board for several years before this, so he has seen this process.
The main thing I have to say is I am not speaking on behalf of South Indian River Water Control District. I'm speaking on behalf of myself.
There we go.
Okay. Can I put your thing back up here?
Absolutely. The one that we're proposing.
You're proposing something. What they're proposing is it's a nice change and everything else and stuff. In fact, if they would have done this back in 2011, they would have probably gone ahead and gotten this already changed. Back in 2011, what they had originally had gone through was that there was going to be a 40,000 square foot building here, but they were offering us also for a community 2 acres of green space, plus there was also going to be 5,000 square feet of office warehouse, which originally what this section was set up for. So that was everything was fine at that particular time period, back in 2011. But back again in 2011, they had set up a building for 40,000 square feet, which then again exceeded. So just want to say that everything that they've done now, they could have done back in 2011 and probably have already been building right now. The only thing else that I want to be really concerned about, and that is traffic. I am dead set against any stopping of traffic on Indian Town Road, period. Yeah. I haul horses. I don't want a deputy sheriff coming out, stopping. I got stoplights and things of that nature. Yeah, this is still community, but this particular section out here is still a state road. It's not like being in town into a city where it comes under a different jurisdiction. So I don't really want, for anybody to have to go through and stop in traffic. They'll have to maintain their own traffic and get in and out of the property how it's set up now, without anybody having to stop on the main road. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Lois Taylor. Lois also, who has, where's Lois?
Right here.
Oh,
I'll wait on that cover.
you'll wait? Okay. We have Pete Wildman.
I have a question for you, Annette, because I live out here, and you were talking about traffic. I was wondering if anybody looked at, you have an open island here. Has anybody looked at opening the island here so you could have a direct access?
Well, that would be a nice idea, but unfortunately, that wouldn't work under the county guidelines. And I think I understand that we're getting ready to build 2 right turn lanes, eastbound, right on Jupiter Farms, is that right?
A single right angle.
Right, so you wouldn't have the stacking that you would need to do that. What we're looking at doing in terms of the exiting, we're looking at bringing everybody in on a Sunday morning in the western entrance, and then basically sending them back out the middle entrance. Residents who live here, we would funnel not in front of Publix, but basically into the parking. If they want to go shopping, get something in Publix before they leave, and then they just would meander the way out. But great idea, but unfortunately the traffic gurus would never let us. They want us with it.
Thank you, Mr. Wildman. Monty Smith.
Is there any way to hold until is the board going to make any comments about this?
Yes, we will.
Can
Yes.
I comment after?
Yes, you may. John Meyer.
Question for Don, but before I start, I should also say that I'm a member of the South Indian River Board of Supervisors, South Indian River Water Control District, and I am not representing them, I'm representing myself. But my question relates to storage, treatment of stormwater. Been to a couple of meetings, I haven't heard it mentioned. Can you give us a better idea, Don, of exactly how you're going to treat stormwater, given that we're talking about discharging to South Indian River Water Control
That was a
District,
question
down
I-
one in the northwest corner?
Great question, and it's a question that your board asked us the other day to make sure that we can come back and respond. And I don't have a direct answer for you, other than the fact that we're required to capture all our water, pre-treat it, store, we're required to store, and then ultimately discharge. I understand that discharge is into the existing lake. Nothing goes directly off-site before it meets state water quality standards and all the requirements. So I don't have a direct answer on the staging and how all that works. All I know that our engineers tell us it works, but we'll get detailed information from your board.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if you've talked to the South Florida Water Management District yet, the permitting staff there.
Yeah,
My understanding is the lake does not have the capacity.
Right. Jeff Iravani, who's been the engineer for the past several years on the project, is the engineer of record and is doing the engineering for the project.
And I would also suggest contacting our engineer, the South Indian River Water.
We'll do that, so make sure we call contact. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Terry Eve?
I'd like to hold, please.
Sure. Grace Greenfall?
Yes, can I get a little clarification regarding
Sure.
the reduction you did in the parking lot? And could you use your pencil as a pointer when you put your hand over there? Always sees the back
I
of your hand.
sure will.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so the parking lot actually will end up getting a little bit larger. So what you're seeing here, this is grass parking. So one of the things that your board had asked us to do a long time ago was maximize the amount of grass parking. And so what we've done, we had one row of parking here. We added another whole additional row on the east side of the building when we reduced the size of the building. So the building got reduced in this direction by about 60, 70 feet, so fairly substantially. And then in the north-south direction by about 50 feet.
And the number of percentage of reduction in the parking?
Well, we didn't reduce the parking. At this particular point, we've retained the parking in order to ensure that there's an abundance of car. There was a concern expressed by some that they wanted to make sure that there would be no detrimental impact to the existing shopping center. And so what we try to do is make sure that we have the ample supply. And so we previously exceeded the code. Now we'll exceed the code even more. It's based on numbers of seats. And basically we're providing all of our parking, even for peak periods, on being new parking, not parking that's existing today.
And how are you going to handle the water and sewage?
Well, the water and sewer is there today. So we worked with that, the association worked with Loxahatchee River District about 2 years ago. The existing plant was literally ready to collapse and fail. I mean, it was imminent. And so it got decommissioned just in time. In fact, it was in a violation state for a while. So the water and sewer is now available, serving this particular facility.
That will accommodate that improvement?
Oh, more than accommodated. They just built huge lines, to bring them out here.
And will any discussion about the sewer or the water line continuing past that
Oh,
location?
you'd run me out of this building in about 2 seconds. Never even think of it.
Good answer.
I know the answer to that. We won't let it go anywhere further.
Joe Kingston?
My name is Joe, fully supported Calvary.
Okay. Thank you. And Jackie Kingston?
Hello, Jackie Kingston. I've been a resident of Jupiter Farms for several years, and I just wanted to state a comment for the record. I'm also fully supportive of Calvary's plans to continue to grow in the community. I've worked in the field of environmental permitting, local zoning approvals for over 10 years, new development projects, almost always, and not always go through what we're going through now. Meetings like this are great, and I just wanted to thank Calvary Church for listening to the community and adjusting their plans accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the cards that we have, except for the 3 who wanted to table their comments. As far as Jupiter Farms residents is concerned, we thank Calvary and Cotleur Hearing for reconsidering going back to the drawing board, as Don said. We are cautiously optimistic at this point. We only got wind of the new scaled down plans as of last Thursday, and we took them to our boards of directors, and we've asked Don a certain number of questions that I don't think he's prepared to answer yet, because they are going back to the drawing board. One of the things was the orientation of the building. We still would like for it to back up against the west side and face the rest of the plaza, so it looked more inclusionary. We also think that that would benefit Calvary by having the frontage. We understand that there might be some zoning issues that Don said you might look into. One of the other concerns is, and for those of you who have seen the the petition at change.org and the information that we've gotten out there is the little bit of history behind this. Back in 1993, Jupiter Rural Residents was the group out here, and when this development was going to be developed in the very beginning, it was going to be about 3 times the size that it is now. And Jupiter Rural Residents took Palm Beach County and the developer to court, and they won. They won a case that is buried deep in the annals of the courthouse, and there are stipulations of settlement for that case. And those are basically court orders by a judge. It's a settlement that has the 50,000 cap. It has certain architectural guidelines that have to be met, certain lighting that has to be met, certain hours to keep our rural area remaining a rural area. And this is a document that I don't view is within our purview as a board to negotiate. I believe it's within our wheelhouse that we have to stand by this and be sure that it gets enforced, because it's a Trojan horse. If we let one, whether it's a church, whether it's Publix, whether it's anything, and keep in mind, Publix was held to the fire as well when they were developing out here. They had to be kept under the 50,000 square foot limit, just as anybody else. And we look at it like the Trojan horse. So we're not looking to negotiate away anything that was won and fought for 20-something years ago, just because it's 20-something years later. And so, like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. There are still other parts of this stipulation for settlement that has Jupiter Farms residents at a disadvantage. There was supposed to be an area green space, a community green space. Not just the preserve on the corner, but we've watched development orders come and go that mention this green space, and then it disappears, and then it mentions the green space again, and then it disappears. And the bottom line is that was supposed to be a green space for our residents and our community, and we're not sure where it is right now. We've asked zoning to try and give us their interpretation of where it might be. Steve, you were mentioning that a number of years ago it was on Calvary's plans. So as the inheritor of the crown, my board is sitting here going, I don't know where that is. And that's something that we want to look into, and we certainly don't want to give it up if it's something that was fought for back in 93 and 94. So there are issues that we still want to keep our interests alive and available. So that's where we're coming from. And like I said, it has nothing to do with any kind of specific business or industry or church or whatever. It has to do with maintaining our rural appeal and tier and atmosphere. There have been a lot of people in this room that have fought for a lot of battles. One of the reasons why we all like Jupiter Farms is because we're surrounded by beautiful preserved area. But a preserved area is only a preserved area as long as somebody says it's preserved. Somebody can come along at any time and say, yeah, well, we're going to change that law. We're not so willing to let any of these stipulations go by the wayside, because once one goes by, it could be a domino. And that's one of the reasons that we have been so aggressive regarding this. So, like I said, cautiously optimistic and wait and watch. And I know Susan, president of the Jupiter Farms Environmental Council, has also been slated to talk, and I think now is probably a great time, and then we can go back to the other remaining public comments. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Didn't realize their doors were open. Again, Susan Kennedy, president of Jupiter Farms Environmental Council. I do have a couple of other things to mention, and I'm going to use your other board time just to use it because we have such a good crowd, and we do have a couple of updates on some issues surrounding the shopping center. For those of you who don't get a chance to drive down Jupiter Farms Road, We do have a new trail that is being built on the eastern side of Jupiter Farms Road. You can see construction happening now. There is a trail that is we'll say it's in draft form on this section of the road right now. This is a portion of Cypress Creek. We call it the Hatcher-Hopper property, but it's considered part of Cypress Creek, which is the property on the north side of Indiantown Road. This is all Palm Beach County lands here, and we have a trail that is in draft form. It will be open in the fall. They are doing other construction on the site, and so that is scheduled for opening in the early fall, September, October kind of time frame. Just south of this property, just south of Canal Number 2, you can see on the east side the construction work beginning for our missing link of 1.25 mile trail on Jupiter Farms Road, something that we've been waiting for 15 or 20 years. And that is going in between Canal Number 2 and the farmers marketplace and the old fire station, the portion of the park. There will be a crossing on Jupiter Farms Road. It will be a lighted crossing, what's called a lighted crossing. It's not a stop sign, but it's a blinking trail light that gets turned on when you press the indicator. So there will be a lighted crossing on the trail. There will be indicator pressings at pedestrian and equestrian level so that people can cross the road there right at Front Road. It's right on the corner, right at the farmers market area. So that is also supposed to open in September, October. They had a little bit of a setback because of the occurrence of the paddling trail that happened on the portion of the property got a lot really flooded. They didn't understand that whole process at the time. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up because it is right across the street from the shopping center, and it is one of the ways that we use to transit to and from the shopping center. And to tie into one of the items that is on actually the development order, the original development order of the shopping center, was to have a trail bridge across this canal. This is Canal Number 2. It goes around the shopping center. It's Canal Number 2 down here, Canal Number 1 right here, but it gets combined. There is supposed to be a trail bridge across this as part of the development order to connect to the western side of Jupiter Farms Road and the western portion of Jupiter Farms. That's one of the other things that we're trying to track down because it has been, we'll say, misplaced through the years. It was supposed to be paid for by the developer, and it got kind of pushed aside. So we're trying to get that done because the work that our South Indian River Water Control District has done in improving the maintenance of our canal banks has been so impressive that now they're being used more and more by passive trail users because all of the Sir Wicket canal banks are passive use trails. And so there's a trail that you can get like nearly everywhere on the west side of the farms can get to the back side of Publix, but you can't cross the ditch that's there. So if we had that connection to our community shopping center, to our community center, then it would be a great improvement. So that's one of the things. Overall, on the Calvary Church issue, we have raised the issues of drainage, as Don has said. That's one of our bigger concerns. So we look forward to looking at those detailed specs, and we've been working hard with Maddie and Mike on the size and scope, the impact of the intensity of this project on the shopping center, and we are doing our part to see what we can do about convincing planning and zoning to switch the building. And when we say they switch the building orientation, it's not really turn it as much as it is do a mirror. So if you look at the building now, this is where the nice sanctuary will be, and then this is the youth nurseries and the youth sanctuary, that sort of thing. But this is the front of the building, and it's facing southeast to the corner of the strip.
So when we look at it, we thought it would be great is if it was a 90-degree mirror. So if you flip the building 90 degrees and put this segment over here, so that way the center, the direction of the building is facing the center. You see how it's just a little bit more connected and whole, and it makes for a better design of the whole shopping center. So
It would also increase the shared parking, which is another parcel of the settlement, which the entire development is under a shared use parking.
right, because as it is, I mean, the way that it's been, because of the reduction in size and the addition of a full lane of parking here helps a tremendous amount, especially for the Clubhouse University use that is going to get impacted with the additional building. It's just a natural occurrence. But if this were over here and there were, you know, some sort of additional parking over here, you could see how it would just be a more cohesive look and a cohesive feel thing. So that's, and fortunately, Don and the church leadership has been, they're like, we have no problem with that, the problem is the county. So we've got our own buckets of people here to try to get that happening. So that's all we have to say.
Thank you very much. Are there questions for
Yeah,
Susan?
I have a question on the lighted crossing at Park Road for trails. I'm so happy about these trails. We have waited a long time. I'm just wondering, is it going to be on the north or the south side or north side of Front Road?
It's going to be on the south side of the driveway.
Okay.
And so on the south side of Front Road.
Okay.
So you can see kind of where the survey markers were at one point, but it's all on the south side of the Front Road driveway. Because Parks and Rec owns that part of the property, they have a little bit more allowance with regards to the easement, and they don't have to go through as many hurdles to do things right there, so that's why.
I have been here about the lights.
Yeah. And most of that trail, by the way, and you can see, is in the woods. I mean, it's what we call an off-road trail. There's only a small portion of it that's going to be curved and on the road, and that's right where the Randolph Siding Canal thing is, because it's just really tight there. So, yes?
Do you have an update on the repaving of Randolph Siding and Jupiter Farm Road?
The repaving of Randolph Siding and
Jupiter Farm Road?
no, we do not have an update on the repaving, but we will find that out for you and get that information out as soon as we can.
If you talk to me afterwards, I can give you an update on some of it.
But not on Jupiter Farm Road.
Not Jupiter Farm Road on Randolph. Talk to me after the meeting.
Okay. You want to just say it now, Steve? Everyone wants to know what's going on.
With Randolph Siding, just one of the things that we're looking at is taking over, and I've still got to get some information back out to the residents who live on Randolph Siding between 110th and 130th. That the county has not been able to keep up that section. That was the section that was done in the experiment on Ojum. When the Ojum first came out, they haven't done anything to do anything with that section other than to patch places when they've had complete failure. I've had residents come to me seeing whether or not the district could go through and take over that road from the county, since the county's not maintaining it like they should. At our last board meeting, we did go through and discuss it. We're going to be looking at, seeing how many residents would be be interested in that 2-mile section for the district to take that from the county. It would be some cost to the residents, but that's one of the things that we're doing. It could, by us doing this, force the county to maybe do a little bit more, but this is one of the things, we're looking at it as the district because of the lack of the county stuff.
Because normally when a county does a county paved road, it's to county standards, and then they take over the maintenance of the road, just like Jupiter Farms Road or 130th, whatever.
How about the portion from Jupiter Farms and 110th?
That was
county,
actually,
county.
that
That's
was a blacktop
county
road
road.
at one time, county
We'll
standard.
find out.
We were only
One's
gonna
in
take
the
over
Jupiter
the section
Farms
that's
Road.
not county standard.
We'll find out about
That's what
that.
we're looking at. We're not saying that we are, we're just looking at it, looking at the cost.
Any other questions for Susan? Thank you, Susan. So we had 3 other comment cards that wanted to be tabled until later in the program, which is now. Lois Taylor.
I just wanted to mention that the 50,000 square foot limit in the shopping center came along with making sure that Jupiter Farms Commercial served Jupiter Farms and not the whole regional area. And we have fought this through the years to downsize a lot of the things that came in, trying to be too big to serve too big an area. So that's it. The Jupiter Farms Center is supposed to be for Jupiter Farms only.
Yes, part of the stipulation for settlement, Lois, is absolutely correct. There is a stipulation in there that says it is up to the director of zoning to deem as to whether a project is servicing the community. It is not, nothing in that development. And remember, we're only talking about that development. Nothing in that development was supposed to be designed to be what is called a regional attractor. That is really up to the director of zoning. I believe it was at the last meeting that Don had said, right now, Calvary's membership from Jupiter Farms is approximately 300.
500.
500? Okay, I thought you
500 plus, right?
Yeah, it's 600, right?
Okay.
About a third.
Okay, on Thursday I thought it was 300, now it's gone to 500.
It's about a third, I think it's about a third.
About a third.
But
So-
it's about 600.
So it's about a third of what their congregation is. It's really not in our hands. It would be up to the director of zoning to decide whether the rest, the 50 or 60 or 70%, whatever it is, that doesn't serve Jupiter Farms, tells this as a regional attractor. That's, again, it's in our settlement. It's been brought to the attention of zoning and the director, and whatever they decide, they decide. That's really, we're not a governing body out here. We can just offer our direction and helpful nudges here. Thank you, Lois. Monty Smith.
Well, I find myself right smack in the middle of both groups, and I'd like to commend both sides for what you're doing to work this out. You guys know that Pam and I love Jupiter Farms. We want to be here, and we love you protectors that keep it the way it is. So I'd like to say that. I'm not a member of Calvary yet, but I have visited. And the church is doing important work. My grandchildren go to the Wednesday night program. My family tries to attend there on Sunday. And to your point, oftentimes they have to drive other places because these folks are working very hard to try to accommodate people that would want to go to church in a little bitty building that they have to set up 3 times. It wears out everybody that's trying to do it. So again, nobody there knows me from Adam, guys. Okay? Please, keep doing what you're doing. Work together, because one of the wonderful things that would be part of Jupiter Farms is for us to have wonderful folks like this that would be there for our place of worship. So thank you for what you're doing.
Terry Eve.
My name's Terry Eve. I'm live on 154th Road North, and I'm also a member of Calvary. And one of the things that struck me as we came here this evening was, the ability to work together as a community, and that's an important part. You hear that not just here, but you're hearing it throughout the country right now. Is the importance of having community, a community that can reach out and cross the bridges that separate us, so that we can work together to accomplish some good. And so I just encourage everyone as we look at this, is that we want to see a facility built. We also want to see the people's wishes of Jupiter Farms, adhered to. It's not an either or type situation. And so what really struck me as I was listening tonight, and this is the first meeting I've attended on the subject here. Well, what really struck me was the ability for both sides to try and meet and work through some of the issues. And doesn't mean we work through all of them, but we work through some of them. And as we continue to do that, hopefully we'll be able to accomplish the objectives set forth in both the plan and still meet a lot of the community needs in this area. I'm a little confused over the green space issue that's in the thing. I don't know.
Everyone is.
All we got is green space here.
So it's interesting when you look at something like that, how it's like it gets lost in the translation and lost over time. There were obviously somebody had a plan in place at some point. They had an idea of how that was going to occur. But I think it's also unfair to encumber an owner of a property, say you're going to provide it. I mean, yeah, we want to maximize green space. We do it in our yards. We do it in our farms. We do it in the community in general. And we want to do it on this facility as well. But it would be unfair to burden any landowner with and all of us in here are landowners, right?
Amen.
Would anybody want to donate their property for the green space? Probably not. And that's my point, is that there has to be some common sense on some of these things too. And that's where I think that I'm encouraged by tonight's meeting, the tone of the meeting, both from the board standpoint and from the resident standpoint and from Jupiter, from Calvary Jupiter, and the ability for us to work together for a solution, I think, is there. And I just encourage everybody to keep trying and attempting to accomplish that goal.
To address a little bit about the green space, I understand what the position is of Calvary, and we hope that they understand what the position is of JFR. But the bottom line is, Calvary has been a resident there since 2001, and it's been on every development order since then. It's been mentioned, and kind of like caveat emptor, you bought the land knowing what the rules were. That doesn't entitle you to plead ignorance of the rules. They were there. And the Jupiter Farms neighborhood plan is a plan that has been adopted by the county commissioners, and all of the stipulations for settlement are mentioned in there.
But not the location specifically, right?
In the development, you bought the property from the developer. So it was there, whether he disclosed it to you or not. It's been mentioned in your DROs for your past buildings. It's been mentioned by zoning on all of those pieces of paper. So to see it just disappear is.
But I mean, there's a substantial green space on the property, though. It's 7 acres. The building doesn't take anywhere near
It's
that.
not a community green space. It would be Calvary's green space. You have to understand our position.
Okay. Understood.
Ms. Walter.
Hi, I would like to just find out what the definition of a green space is. Is this grass parking lot that could be considered that? Or are we talking about a park of some sort?
Susan?
It depends on who you're asking and what part of the county you're asking.
Okay.
And I don't mean to be flippant about that, but it really does. When the development order for the shopping center was originally done in 1993, it actually had a different definition. Through the years, it has become refined in different ways. For instance, green space on the Reynolds Ranch also includes some of the swales. Okay? So I think, but a community green space in the development order has an obvious different intent. So right now we're working with the county staff, and the county attorney is in on this whole conversation. It is not one property owner's responsibility for this shopping center green space. It was supposed to be a shopping center providing green space. So it is essentially the property owners association's responsibility. It is really a county screw up in not having provided the mandate for this to be mapped out at an earlier date. And now we're on essentially the last property in the shopping center, and it still hasn't been mapped out. So I think that there's a continuing conversation that we're having with county staff, and that we'll be having with Don and the church and everybody else, and probably the POA as well, because this has to be resolved. The other thing to know that you won't know, because nobody knows, is that in 1993 there was what's called a development order for the shopping center. Through the years, there have been probably, 10 different amendments on this? It's a stack. the development order amendments on this thing are stacked. And some of the original development order requirements were written actually on the site plan, and then they got incorporated into the DOA, and it's back and forth, and forth. And so what we're in the process of is working with the county and just kind of creating a matrix of everything that's supposed to have happened and where it is and what stage it's at. Because the shopping center is almost at build-out stage, and all of these things should have been done or need to be done by the end of this time period.
So in other words, it's not all Calvary's.
No.
No,
not
not
at
at
all.
all, not at all. And no one's trying to say that, but what the problem is that we're going in for a development order amendment. And so there's a list of things that have to go with each development order amendment. And we want to make sure that things get taken care of before the end of this whole process. And we're very close to the end of this whole process.
I'd just like to say, we have so much green space around here. We have one shopping center. To put a green space in a shopping center seems like a waste of the shopping center space.
You're misunderstanding the
people in
intent
parking.
of the development order and the
I
intent of
understand,
the
but
original
things
process.
your next thing was about how they built the trails and how we all park here. We have so many parks, so many green spaces. Nobody's gonna pack a lunch and go sit in front of the pizza place and the hairdresser, sit in a green space and have lunch with their family. Who's gonna use it? No one's gonna use it.
First of all,
No one's gonna use it.
I don't have a public comment card, but second of all, Susan was just adding information. Well, it's,
Well,
and everybody's allowed
and you
to.
may not have been here long enough to know that we used to have the craft fair at the shopping center, and we used to have community events, including the hoedown at the shopping
We
center.
have a great park here.
No, it's not a free park,
A
actually.
great park here. There's a
Not
great
free.
park here. I didn't say it wasn't
Well,
always.
but
I'm
green
just,
spaces
I'm
are-
just trying to make you understand that there is a history to this area, and there are people who have blood, sweat, and tears in order to fight for the properties that you're just saying, oh, look at all this green space. Some of us have fought very, very hard to make sure that those areas around us are
And
preserved.
if they
Who
didn't,
wants
it'd be
green
like Broward here. So-
Right,
I understand,
so
but we're not in New York City. New
green
York City
space
needs a green
isn't
space.
just where you're gonna go have a pagoda with a bandstand. Green space also provides a refuge for heat, a place for water drainage, it provides a refuge for wildlife. So there's all kinds of different.
Plaza, Web-
Yes.
Wildlife.
Yes, if you've not
Have you
seen the
s-
snail
have you-
kite eating
No, I'm
in the
just
pond,
asking
then-
questions. I'm just asking questions.
So, rather than get into it, there is a requirement on the development, and we're trying to straighten it out and make sure that everything is equitable, including the treatment that we get as a party to this development.
Thanks, Susan. I have no other comment cards.
I'd like to comment because we couldn't get in.
Is that your comment that you couldn't get in?
See, it's a simple stuff. I got a question for Susan. Is this going to be controlled by her like the Reynolds property? The
Wait.
green space?
No, it would not be controlled. Yeah, it would be it is not a preserve.
So who would have control of
It would be the
liability?
POA is usually in charge of any green spaces.
Okay. And the only other thing, and I know this goes back to the court issue, and what my concern is here is one of the court things that I read is the false pitch roof issue. My question is do you want them to have anything other than a false pitch roof? Since by the development orders and the other ones, they can go up to 30-something feet, and with an exception, they can go up to 60-something feet. Would you want a big peaked roof out there just so you can say, hell yes, this is the order? Or would you want something that's consistent with the plaza being an all false pitch roof?
I think that issues such as the architectural guidelines still need to be worked out. Don has, and the church have been very generous in offering a couple of different looks in the roofline architecture so that we can see what it would look like in the mass of the structure with a straight steeped roof and what it would look like with some variations of
Yeah,
that.
I just
so
want
that
to
we
look like
can
that
see
place
as a
down in Davie
community
that looks like
how it
July.
would fit. And so, as a community, will it fit in with the intent of making sure that the shopping center maintains its rural character? It's not about having something 60 feet high just because otherwise it would be a violation. I think there's, what we're trying to do is make sure that the intent of that stipulation agreement is met. And fortunately, they've been, are now, open to looking at some different options.
Susan, I have a question.
Sure.
See, didn't even see my lips move.
So I was just wondering, is the retention pond that's there in Publix count as a green space?
We don't know. We don't know.
So basically, on one side, we've got everybody fighting, the other side opposed, neither one knows what the heck they're fighting about.
It's very big. We'll work through it.
That's why we're trying to work it through. Exactly.
We'll work through it.
Yeah. Like I said, the definitions have changed in 20 years.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of hands go up and I'm not seeing comment cards, so we're gonna limit it to 2 minutes.
I just have a question. Wasn't there a building that just recently was built in the plaza?
Yes, at one time that's the Clubhouse University's extension, the second building. They recently have completed that. And there was one time where that was called our green space.
Yeah, so I just was confused because,
And
I mean, how did that get approved?
Under their development order, it was noted that that was originally supposed to be green space for the community, and it was suggested within the same development order that once the package plant is defunct and out of use, it is recommended that the community green space be located on the 6.7 acre package property.
So who was in charge of purchasing that land and making that happen?
It's not,
So that by default, you guys just kept waiting for people to buy land and just do it?
No,
No.
it's not, that's,
Okay, I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
the reason it's part of the development agreement is because the overarching property owners association or developer is supposed to make sure that these things happen in sequence as they go along. At the same time that Clubhouse University was getting approved, the land passages development went into financial crisis and things did not happen. The county has the responsibility as staff to review these things and make sure that things get checked off. That didn't happen. So now we're trying to figure out how to make this equitable for everyone.
So the last person standing gets the responsibility of making this happen?
They take care of the
Doesn't
children.
seem very fair.
It's not just the last person standing. When you're doing commercial property, you see all of the rules in front of you and you sign the bottom line knowing all those rules. This rule has been there. We're not here to argue about green space tonight. We're really not. This is not something that should be a hot under the collar issue. This is really not an issue that is the If you're making it an issue, then it's an issue, but it's really not an issue. I'm telling you people, this is not something that's gonna be a deal breaker right now.
This is not something that's going to be figured out in the next week or two.
The only reason why I think people, and I'm not trying to argue the point, but I believe the reason why this came up is because actually you mentioned it, sir. You originally mentioned this
Right, I mentioned it as part of all of the other
and so it
stipulations.
raised the question for a lot of us, because we don't really understand what's being said here. We're being said that the buck kept getting passed, and now it seems to be, from what you said, it's landed on Calvary Church. So we're very confused about all this.
Calvary Church's design outline 3 or 4 years ago when you first presented out here.
There's two, you said, right?
What?
Well, there's before ours, and I don't understand why,
No, it
why
was
did
not.
it end up on Calvary?
It's partly because of the person you bought it from.
Why wouldn't they, you guys want reasons, why wouldn't you guys secure and buy the land and make it green space?
It's not,
It's-
that's
This
not
is
how
an
it works.
issue that we'll all work through. This is like,
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Please don't.
we'll work, this is an issue that we'll work through. It's really more of a comment that it is just one of the pieces in the puzzle. Nobody's dying on a sword over it, and we've opened up a great dialogue with the board. The board has sacrificed a lot of their time, and it's committed to work with us, and we're gonna get there. We are. I mean, I worked with Susan many, many years, so I can tell you that, the big issues have been addressed. We've got some details to work through, and each party is committed, as this gentleman has said, to work together, and we will. So,
I saw 1 and 2, so let's go with, sir?
Hi, my name is David. I'm a Jupiter Farms resident, as well as being part of Calvary Church, and I am in support of both set of ideals, so I want to make that very, very clear. And I hear a lot of information, a lot of spirit of cooperation and working things out, and I think that's wonderful. There was one item that I heard that was very, very concerning to me, and I maybe ask for some clarification from Don or yourself. You mentioned that some person, it sounded like either a board or an individual, has the authority to declare this whole thing a regional attractor.
That's actually zoning.
it's more, the zoning director is the interpreter of the code, and so we can discuss it offline, but zoning has been already been dealing with that issue.
So might I assume that it's a non-issue that it's going to get worked through?
In my opinion, it's a non-issue, but they're correct. It's an issue that's in the development order, and it was there for reasons they didn't want a Walmart. It was going to drag people, not necessarily Walmart, but
Costco,
Costco,
or,
would drag people all the way in here. So
it just sounds like a very subjective term
Yes.
that can be applied to a whole bunch
It
of
absolutely
things.
is.
You know, I mean, you could say that the storage lake, if it has fish in it, could be a regional attraction.
The code is very subjective.
The code is very subjective.
Well, we're working together, and that's really what everybody wants to see happen.
Right.
County, your board, church, and I really think we're in a good place now to continue. I think probably the biggest issue is whether we can rotate the building or not. We're trying to leverage the county. So
yeah.
I guess my question to the board is this something that the board is working to enable, or is this something that the board is working to make more difficult?
We're not working it at all.
Can I say something? Sure. The board wants the church to be there. We're not fighting the church. We would like them, and the people that go there, the residents that go there, to enjoy it. But we just want under the stipulations. They want under the stipulations.
my perception
Under the
of
rules that
dealing with the board is that we're in a place now where we're cooperating and working together.
Right.
We're trying to come up with the best project that we can.
Absolutely. To service all of our residents, whether they go there or whether they just have to look at it.
So don't misinterpret it as telling you the fact versus really what we're
And
trying
that's
to
what
do.
I'm trying to do.
Right. You, sir.
Don, I have a question for you. The church is planning to increase their attendance from 300 three times to 700, 750 twice. I mean,
Right now they're
Give or take.
about 1,000 people,
Okay.
I guess, on a weekend.
Okay, so but I'm saying
Basically what in the world of church, 80% capacity is full.
Oh, I mean,
So at
my-
80% people
my
stop.
point is they
people
want
stop
to
coming. They basically
cut down the service and increase the number of people. What?
or increase the comfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the, how are you going to address the traffic situation? On a good day, to get out of Publix is not a good thing, and for churchgoers and non-churchgoers, this could be a dangerous traffic situation.
Well, we have a complete traffic management plan to deal with the traffic.
Is that published anywhere?
Of course, this would be a substantial reduction, and the benefit is that it is on an off-peak day. It's on a Sunday, and I know there's a lot of activity.
Well, how do you figure it's making its money? It's condensing more people and condensing it to 2 times as opposed to spread out over 3 times.
What are we saying about making money?
No, nothing to do with making money. I'm saying that you said that you were
Well,
alleviating.
what happened, the traffic actually very much so gets relieved, because a good bit of the traffic issue is the transition period in between, when you've got everybody coming and everybody going. So when you have 3 services and you're trying to fit them in on a Sunday morning, you've got to compress that time. And so whenever that time gets compressed, it really creates the opportunity for conflict. When you have opportunity for conflict, that's when you have, the traffic issues or safety issues. So by having just 2 services spaced out, you have the ability really to reduce that conflict period, easier transition time. Plus, with the new facilities that they're proposing, is that there's a lot more opportunity for people to kind of stay longer and have that transition time feather out, as opposed to right now, there's no place to go. Services over, everybody's got to go to let the next group in. And so when we did Christ Fellowships on North Lake Boulevard, We heard the same issue. Oh, you're just good?
Right now, you're having 750 people approximately,
Right.
or 80%
But
of them
actually-
trying to leave so the next group can come in.
But you have more transition time. You have more transition time. And you typically don't have 750 cars because you have families and other things. So I think what you'll find.
I mean, as long as they have some sort of plan in place, because even without, services going on, get out of public, do you live in the park?
No, I don't.
Or you never try to get across?
Oh, I'm trying to
down
get
the road.
across. I'm trying to get
I mean, that's something that churchgoers and non-churchgoers, it's an issue for all of us. You're going to church and you don't, would just be increased traffic.
No, you're absolutely right. What we've discussed with your board is developing a traffic management plan that's moldable, it's adaptable, there's no perfect plan. And meeting with your board every 6 months.
New York City,
quarterly,
I know traffic.
and trying to, fine tune it and make it right. And I'm confident that we can.
Okay. So there's nothing yet that we can look at that.
This new plan that Don presented tonight literally was just discussed on Thursday.
Oh.
And so I'd like to thank Don for even making it here tonight. Because he knew that it wasn't going to be an easy sell to begin with, let alone not have a lot of materials to present you with. And like Don said, it's the devil's in the details, and we don't have a lot of those details yet. And I said, pretty cautiously optimistic. We stress on the optimism.
That's right. So we thank you for having us and look forward to seeing you real soon. And Trish, anything that you can do for us? Magic? Let us know.
Basically, that's all we have. We have I don't know if anybody here actually got a chance to buy any raffle tickets.
We're ready.
Very few. Since you're our special guest, could we have you draw a raffle ticket for tonight?
Sure. I hope I get
It's up to you.
Yeah, the other person is,
If you could just call out the last 4 numbers. Quiet, please.
I got to put my glasses on. Otherwise I call out the wrong one. 6.
6679. Winner. Call the meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much. And if you'd like to stay informed, please jump on to JupiterFarmsResidence.com.
Appreciate your time.